That should do. Hey! Hey everyone, this is Danielle from Findable Digital Marketing. So this month I'm trying something new and I'll be interviewing 8 specialists in SEO. Now all of these interviews are on Facebook Live. So what you're about to see is just a snippet of that replay video. So you're probably on YouTube, IGTV, and so the whole Facebook Live interview was 1 hour long. I'm just gonna show you the first 15 minutes. In this video, I talked to Juliana about Google Ads. Are we friends? Are we enemies? Are we frenemies? So we talked about Google Ads and SEO, the relationship between the two of them, how we help each other and how we hurt each other. So it was a really interesting conversation. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Juliana, for your time and sharing your knowledge with us. And I hope you find this video interesting. If you want to see the full 1 hour video, you can go to our Facebook page and you can see it there. And if you want to join our Facebook Lives in the future, again, you can go to our Facebook page and you can see the full calendar. And that way you can ask us questions and be part of the conversation. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know if you have any questions or comments. And yeah, I'll see you later. People are like, wow, how did you do SEO? It's so niche. And I'm just like, it's not that niche. Like if you knew like the size of the industry and the conferences or thousands of people that do it, it's just kind of like unknown. Is it the same with Google Ads?
I feel like actually SEO is very, like, when I heard about it at first, I was like, what is that? Like, obviously when you think of online marketing, it's like, oh, you see ads on Google, but then I'm like, what's SEO? Like, what is this crawling? Like, it's something about algorithms. And I was so confused and it took time for me to understand. But yeah, no, it's, now that you're in the field, it's like, there's actually a whole different world about it. Yeah.
What's the attitude that people that are in Google Ads have about SEO people? Is it like, are we enemies?
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, I think at least because right now I work in an agency, so I work with a lot of SEO people, and I feel like it definitely goes hand in hand. What we think of you guys, it's almost like I feel like SEO, at least people that I work with, the first thing they say is you guys are always stealing our traffic.
Okay.
Like something like that. And is that true?
Yeah.
Okay,
You make it difficult. Like the first, you search any keyword, not any keyword, but a lot of like the most valuable keywords, the first like 5 websites are always ads. And so it's difficult to compete with that. But it's just the reality. I mean, that's how Google makes their money. So it's inevitable.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it a negative thing? Like you guys are annoyed with us?
No. I feel like it's actually the opposite. Like, if anything, like, I know we'll probably touch on this later, but when you run ads on Google, SEO definitely plays a huge role in that. The way that Google ranks a certain website is based on how well, the SEO is for that website. So, for instance, if you're not really doing SEO, or you don't have keywords that you're selling for, then you would have to actually pay a lot more to rank on Google, versus if your SEO is there, you have the right keywords, your web page loads fast, and all of that, user experience stuff is there, then you're going to end up actually paying less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's formally start now. We just started chatting.
What's that?
No, it's okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I see we have 4 people that are live. If you're watching, let me know in the comments. Say hi, tell us where you're from. I'm here with Juliana from Churp Media. And we're talking about Google Ads and SEO. Are we frenemies? Do we hate each other? Do we love each other? What's the relationship between the two? Thank you so much, Juliana, for joining. So let's start with just an introduction. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your company. What is it that you do? Tell us everything.
Yeah, so a bit about me. I actually started working in digital marketing like over 3 years ago. I was telling Daniela before, I went to school for like marketing back in the day, and we didn't really even get taught what digital marketing was.
Yeah.
So it's like when I started working for a company, they were starting to kind of pivot onto doing digital. So I ended up enjoying that. And then I did like a couple courses on digital marketing as a whole. And then I started to kind of branch into SEM.
SEM stands for search engine.
And then now I'm working for, yes, search engine marketing. Yeah. So, and then now I work for an agency.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So complete this sentence for me. Growing a business with Google Ads is...
The first thing I would say is measurable.
Okay.
Google Ads is very measurable. And it's not one size fit all.
Okay. Tell me more.
Okay, the reason for that is, if you think about it, Google, like 60% of Google's revenue comes from ads. So their goal really is to have as many advertisers as possible. And with having said that, although it's a lot easier for, you know, anyone really, like any business owner to, you know, go on Google Ads and or even Facebook, like using those platforms to post ads or just make campaigns. It's very easy to make it, but it's very difficult and needs a lot of skill to actually perform and tell yourself, okay, this is how much I've spent, this is how much I'm making. And I feel like that's kind of the value that people like us, and probably, you know, obviously Danielle included, to provide for anyone that, you know, wants to do some sort of campaign and drive business goals.
Yeah, so you touched on it, and that's the next question I wanted to ask you is, who do you recommend? What kind of businesses really reap the benefits of Google Ads? You said it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So who is it a solution for?
So why I say that is because Google Ads has so many other channels. So if you think about it, there's, you know, Google search, where you search certain keywords and then your ad will pop up. There's Google display, so any kind of visual creative, so like it can be a form of like GIFs or images that you see on web pages as ads. Those are display ads. So as a whole, there's a lot of different channels that Google offers, and not necessarily is your business going to always work with all of those. You know what I mean? So keywords and then yeah. A bit of a lag. Yeah. So for instance, like kind of as an example, let me think of something. So when you see a web page, and for instance, they sell clothes, typically people are not, I mean, just based on my experience, clothing lines, and just if you sell clothes or anything in the fashion industry, that's typically something that you see on shopping ads. So you're not necessarily going to be selling on YouTube. You know, so it's either you do search or you do GDN, so display ads. So that's kind of one example. The food industry tends to do well on search as well as YouTube. So I used to work for Maple Leaf Foods, and then they always have like back to school campaigns or something, and you'll see like a, you know, 15-second ad on YouTube. You don't really see like an image of like a sausage, you know, on a random website. Like that's how display works. But yeah, it's very different just because there's so many channels available, and it's just a matter of experience and just kind of, you know, someone that is very well versed in that industry to know which one would work.
Yeah, right. So it's different types of ads fit different types of companies. You really have to know who your consumers are and where they are online.
Exactly. Yeah.
The best solution. Is there a business that will, you know, they're not going to do well on ads regardless if it's search or display, it's on Google or YouTube?
I don't think so, though there is like restrictions. So for instance, if you're like in the, you know, like financial business. So like if you do loans or if you do some sort of like gambling business, like those kind of more sensitive industries, they're not always going to be easy, and there's a lot of restrictions that you have to follow. So
Right.
even
Same
like
with alcohol and cannabis products too.
exactly, yeah. So alcohol, cannabis, like all that stuff, you definitely need to read up on like, you know, different restrictions in your country or wherever you're advertising for. So not
Interesting.
necessarily it doesn't work, but there's just a lot more things that you have to know.
Okay, so what about like, let's take the example of cannabis. I worked with a handful of cannabis businesses. Would
Mhm.
they be able to do Google Ads? What's the workaround? Because something that we say in the SEO world is like, hey, cannabis people, Google Ads hates you. Come to us.
Yeah, so you actually can right now. I don't believe you can.
Yes.
Yes, you. I don't think you can.
At all, right? Like
Definitely for Facebook too.
there's no loophole.
No, I don't believe so.
Well, you know what's actually interesting is that if because there are some industries that are prohibited by Google Ads, so like
Mm,
pornography, obviously, gambling and cannabis and alcohol, because those industries are prohibited by Google Ads and also Facebook. I think even social media ads restrict them a lot. I don't know if
yeah,
prohibit altogether, but there are a lot of restrictions. Um, they have no choice but to go through the organic route. And so if you're learning how to do SEO, or you want to really like up your game and see some really impressive case studies, they have the best case studies. Actually, the pornography industry is the best industry to learn SEO. Yeah, if
really?
you want to make good money in SEO, be an SEO manager for a for a pornographic site, and they pay well.
Really?
And it makes, I mean, you know, search anything related to those industries and they come up on top, and they spend a lot of money on those channels because they really don't have any other choice. So all of their marketing budgets, all their marketing dollars go towards website development and SEO. But not all of it, but a big chunk.
Yeah, who would have known?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be the same
Yes.
for like medicine too, or like
Medicine, I'm not sure.
alcohol? Yeah, it's something to think about. That's
Yeah,
super
those
interesting.
taboo industries. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So can you, for those that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about how Google Ads work? So I created an account, right? I want to start doing Google Ads. Wh- How does it work? How much am I paying for? What am I paying for? And yeah, tell me, give us a breakdown.
Yeah, so for kind of, I'm going to assume that everyone is kind of just has basic knowledge,
Yeah.
but so the first thing you would do, or at least what I would do on Google, is to look into the industry. So it really depends where you are, and I know it's the same for SEO. So thinking about the market and seeing what types of keywords that are most strategic,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to cost less. So typically that's longer tail keywords. So like instead of saying ham, then you can say like, I don't know, black forest, like honey ham.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the most common misconception, is that, you know, a lot of people think they can just go on Google and then just, you know, bid on random keywords and then have the numbers out there. And there's not a lot of things that you can play around with because you don't have the benchmarks to begin with.
Mm.
So taking a look at Google Trends and taking a look at, there's a lot of Google tools like Keyword Planner, looking at those types of numbers that you see. So like how much cost per clicks for the keywords that you're looking at in your specific area at what time, can definitely tell you how well you're performing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think the most important thing is definitely looking at estimates and what, you know, your CPCs could be, like especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
And how does Google decide? So let's say like we're taking the word ham, right? Ham Toronto, and
Yeah.
produce hem or you sell hem and you want to be on the first page of Google, but so do like 5 other companies that are also selling hem in the city. So if there are 5 companies that are paying to be on that page, how does Google decide which one goes first? What does it take into consideration when it's trying to rank between the paid websites?
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question, because that's something that even like my current clients, they work for, they're in a marketing department of like big, Fortune 100 companies. And they always tell us, how come whenever we search, our keywords that we're bidding for, we're not always showing up?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that is we cannot ever guarantee that you will always show up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Google takes into consideration like the type of user that you are. So for instance, if you've searched ham before and then the first thing you did was scroll down to the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
the likelihood of Google actually serving you that ad is very low.
Mm-hmm.
But if Google can identify you and say, okay, this person, every time he or she sees an ad, they click on it, then most likely it will be served to you. So that's one factor.
So it's like personalized to the person, right? And their behavior, their search behavior.
Yeah. It's very much based on your user behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing where SEO actually comes in very handy is the overall website appeal and kind of the user experience. So if your website is slow, if your website has a lot of just errors, wrong pages, doesn't necessarily have the keywords that you're bidding for on Google, then most likely is you would have to, number one, pay more to bid for those keywords, and number two, you're likely not going to be on the first page.
So the user search history, their user behavior is one factor. Obviously, how much you pay, right? And the keywords that you choose.
Exactly, your bid, yeah.
Your bid, and then also the state of the website. So these are there any other factors that influence how you're ranked?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of them. Google will never say which, exactly how. They obviously have their own kind of algorithms that that their system goes by, and they'll never really tell us. But
yeah, same with SEO. Like Google doesn't tell you everything. They give you some information, and then the rest is a little bit based on observation and studies that people in the industry have done.
Yeah, and it's like, at least for Google, your ad copy can make a difference too. So if your ad copy doesn't match your website, for instance, your quality score, so like your quality score will go down. And when your quality score goes down, your bid has to be higher in order to show up. And it kind of just goes back into the idea of you're going to have to end up paying more for those types of keywords.
So you mentioned quality score. In SEO, we have something called domain authority score. So this is like this number that some softwares have kind of composed, right? You put your URL, and then it analyzes multiple things that are going on your website, and then it comes up with a number from 0 to 100. And so the higher your number, the stronger your SEO is. So a good score is between, I would say, 30 to 40 is reasonable. Obviously, if you have more than that, like Forbes magazine, I think it's like at 80 or 90. So quality score, I understand, is something similar. It's like the equivalent in the Google ad world, right?
Yeah, it exactly is. But in terms of like the numbers, so it's usually it's usually out of 10. So ideally you want to stay, ideally you would want to stay between 7 to 10.
Okay. How can you check? Is there?
Yeah, so it's like a metric. You literally just go on your columns and you add it on, and then you'll see kind of your quality score per keyword.
Oh, you get a quality score per keyword, not for your overall website.
Yeah, so it would be based on keywords.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. So you mentioned some of the tools already. Can you tell us a little bit more about the tools that you use to do Google Ads?
So some of the tools that I use. So for larger clients, I use keyword tools. So they're called like keyword builders. So what you do is actually you put in, like, if you want to make phrases, for instance, so you would put in ham, and then if you want to do like ham near me, or like ham in, or like, I don't know, like Black Forest ham, like honey ham, like, I don't know.
This is not a very vegan friendly
Oh my god, I'm so
line.
sorry. It's okay.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Don't
Okay,
apologize.
let's do salad. So if you want to do like chicken salad, right? Caesar salad, Greek salad. So those types of words, you can actually form it into a phrase. And you just plug in kind of, words that you want to have on your keyword bits. And it will help you build like a full list of keywords using words that you have in mind.
So yeah, that's it. That's the video. If you want to see the full interview, head over to our Facebook page. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll see you next week. Ciao!